my name is Heather Quinn. I'm from Little Bird Yoga Studio, and today we're going to explore a pranayama practice. We're going to do a little breath coordination, and then we're going to move into doing some yin and restorative poses to see if our breath coordination can work in different types of poses. We're specifically looking at different types of constrictions on the body so that we can try to move the breath into other parts of the torso area. So we might lay on the stomach and try to move the breath towards the ribs, or lay on the back and try to move the breath towards the front of the body. So props that you might need today. One of them is a chair or some other object that you can place your legs onto, including maybe just putting your feet on the wall with your knees bent. We'll also want to have a bolster or some other type of object that you can lean into with your whole torso, and then also later place your knee on them. So you can also use a zafu for some of this as well, or a block, and then any other type of blanket or block or zafu that makes sitting more comfortable for you. So let's start today on our back in the constructive rest pose. So I'm just removing my blanket off to the side, my favorite prop for relaxing in a seated position on the ground, and then we're going to roll down safely. So we'll bring your feet onto the mat, and we're just going to center ourselves before we get started. Breathing deeply into the torso as much as we can. Returning our mind's eye to the state of our breath, and sometimes that's enough to make it move more smoothly through the body. In this class, we'll be doing a lot of equal ratio breathing, which we can start at this point. If you've never done equal ratio breathing, it is almost exactly as it sounds. We want the inhales and the exhales to be the same length. So one thing you can do is just in your mind count, inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. And moving at your own rhythm, maybe a count of 3, a count of 5, whatever works for your body today. Now, as you're ready, we're going to start to move ourselves down the floor so that we are close to our chair or object that we're placing our legs on. So we want to just find a comfortable place to relax, and so that the knees are right at the edge of the support. We're going to bring the knees out so that they're shoulder width apart. And we're going to move the feet so that they're hips width apart. So we have this sort of diamond shape with our legs. And let's come back into our equal ratio breathing from here. So as we are in this position, we want to start to coordinate the pelvic floor with the diaphragm. So what happens is the diaphragm moves down and up as we're breathing. and works with the vacuum system with the lungs. And then the pelvic floor is right underneath it in our groin region. And what happens a lot of times is that the diaphragm goes down, but that the pelvic floor holds tight. And so it gets this extra pressure. It's working like a piston that's stuck. And so what we want to do is, as the diaphragm comes down, we want to just let the pelvic floor release. And then as we reverse our breath, it starts to come back up to normal, both the diaphragm and the pelvic floor. So this is very slight movement. We feel it fluttering almost like a butterfly. So let's come back into our equal ratio breathing. See if you can feel the movement of your pelvic floor. If you're starting to feel that motion, you can always try a more advanced version of this. We'll just slide back a little bit so that we can place the feet on the edge of our object or even on the wall. And then, so knees are still shoulder width apart, feet are hips width apart. And what we want to do is feel the feet on the support. We want to put some tone into the abductors on the outside and the adductors on the inside. And we'll continue breathing from here. Now this diamond shape is particularly well suited for helping people feel into this pelvic floor movement. From here, we'll release from this pose. If you'd like to take a moment, bring the knees towards the chest. You're welcome to maybe rocking back and forth or turning little circles on your tailbone, guiding your knees. And then let's just release the feet back onto the floor. You might need to scoot back just a little bit. And let's just rest, breathing naturally. From here, we're going to start to feel into this pelvic floor motion while doing some yoga poses. So we're going to turn to our side and then use our hands come to help us guide the body back up. Our first pose will be a restorative child's pose, or what's sometimes also called a tadpole. We're going to get our bolster out for this pose. We're going to bring the knees to each side of the bolster. The feet are hips width apart, and we'll sit back. Now, if this is uncomfortable, you can always lift the hips by placing a zafu underneath them or a block, and then we'll lean into our bolster. So one of the things that happens when we do this is the head gets turned to the side. So if this is uncomfortable for the neck long, after several breaths, we just turn and move the head to the other side. At the same time, we're still in the same position, just compressed for the pelvic floor. So we've got the knees shoulder width apart, we have the feet hips width apart. And so the pelvic floor is open for us to feel into the breathing. Let's give this a try together. You might also notice in this position that we have constriction on the front side of the body now. So we have the breath moving towards the sides of the ribs and the back of the ribs. So maybe feeling into that motion as well. We're going to start to move out of this pose. We want the hands underneath our shoulders so that while we're pressing into the mat, the torso comes up safely with the support of the hands. We're going to just move the bolster out of the way for now as we move into our tabletop position. And then you're welcome to do whatever pose that helps, or motion that helps release that restorative tadpole from the body. Then as we're ready, we're starting to move down onto our stomach for our next pose. We're going to do the yin crocodile. So we stack the hands in front of the head and place the forehead down as if we're in a pillow. In this version of the pose, we now have an even larger constriction along the front side of the body. So we want that breath moving into the back of the ribs and the sides of the ribs. And of course, you might enjoy the sort of rhythmic massage of breathing into the front side of the ribs. If you're having problems feeling into the pelvic floor, you can always bend your knees, bringing the knees out wider than the feet, and try to see if that helps you breathe into the movement of the pelvic floor. We'll release our legs if they're up. We'll bring our hands back underneath our shoulders, and then we're moving back into our tabletop again. Once again, doing whatever motion feels good and helps you release that crocodile from the body. For our next pose, we'll move into a restorative twist. For this, we're using our bolster again. And I'm going to place the bolster down towards the bottom of the mat so that when I lay down on the right side of my body, I can place my left lower leg on the bolster. So if at that point, once you have the leg up, you can decide to move it or around to more comfortably support your leg. For the twist, you have 3 options. One of them is to just lay here with the head down on the arm and the left arm across the body. Another option would be to twist downwards, maybe looking towards this left elbow. If you feel comfortable, you can also twist towards the ceiling. This usually creates a bigger opening through the chest. And you're welcome to place the hands where they're comfortable. The first thing to be aware of in this pose is whether you're feeling tension down the right line of the body, because you have this big connection to the ground from the shoulder to the foot. So if you are feeling that side of the body tense up, we'll just breathe to relax it. Maybe even trying to tell ourselves we can let go of the tension of that right side of the body, as the right side of the body is not holding us up. The other part of this pose is that we have this constriction along the right side of the rib cage. So we want to move the breath towards the left side of the rib cage. Maybe at sort of a 70% of the breath is moving into that rib. As you feel comfortable, you can start to move the head to look towards the left side. To release this pose, we'll all start by meeting on the right side of the body again. And you can rest here for a moment if you'd like. We're moving to the other side of this pose now. You're welcome to roll onto your back and change sides. I'm going to change ends of my mats. And so we're gently guiding the body down onto the left side now and bringing the right knee up onto the bolster, adjusting it as necessary to provide ultimate comfort. Now the first thing with this other side of the pose is that we want to do approximately the same as we did on the other side. So if you were laying with your head on your arm, you're welcome to do that. If you were laying with your stomach towards the ground, you're welcome to do that. Or if you were laying with your back towards the ground, that's what you'll do. Just as we did on the other side, we'll want to release the tension from the left side of the body, allowing the muscles to relax. And just as with the other side, we're going to try to move the breath more towards the right side of the rib cage. So we're going to try to move 70% of the breath over to this side so that the ribs in the unconstricted side will open up. And you're welcome to turn towards the right with the head at any time. And then to release from this side of the pose, we'll roll onto our left side to relax for a moment. Using our hands, we'll bring ourselves gently back up into a seated position. And this will be our final pose of this practice. So we just want a position where our torso is completely unconstricted from the ground and whatever's comfortable for your body. So I'm comfortable sitting in hero's pose using my zafu, but you're welcome to sit on the ground. You're welcome to cross your legs in front of you or do a half lotus. We really just want to transfer to a place where we can relax and breathe deeply. When you come to your relaxing position to sit in, we want to think about allowing our body to breathe completely through the torso. So without constriction, we're breathing through the front side, the sides, and the back of our torsos. So we sit up straight, allowing the breath maximum amount of space to work within our bodies. You're allowed to move this into a more meditative state, closing your eyes, allowing the shoulders to relax, allowing the lower body to relax, allowing the back to relax. Feeling the freedom of our breath moving throughout our torso, allowing all of the oxygen to come in to help heal our bodies. We'll finish with a poem from John O'Donohue titled For a New Beginning. In out of the way places of the heart, where your thoughts never think to wander, this beginning has been quietly forming, waiting until you're ready to emerge. For a long time, it has watched your desire, feeling the emptiness growing inside of you, noticing how you willed yourself on, still unable to leave what you had outgrown. It watched you play with the seduction of safety and the gray promises that sameness whispered, heard the waves of turmoil rise and relent, wondered, would you always live like this? Then the delight when your courage kindled and you stepped out onto new ground, your eyes young again, with energy and dream, a path of plenitude opening before you. Though your destination is not yet clear, you can trust the promise of this opening. Unfurl yourself into the grace of beginning, that it is at one with your life's desire. Awaken your spirit to adventure. Hold nothing back. Learn to find ease in risk. Soon you will be home in a new rhythm, and your soul senses the world that awaits you. Gently coming back into consciousness, bringing our torso up with our nice strong front side of our body, allowing the back side of the torso to relax. Bring our hands to heart center to connect to our hearts. Breathing deeply. The divine in me recognizes the divine in you, and that means namaste. Thank you very much for everybody joining me today, and I'll see you soon.